The best camera on paper isn't always the best camera for the job. Hi, I'm Liam. I work in wildlife film, NGO outreach and live broadcast television. So today I want to talk about why I switched from the Sony A1 to the Sony FX3. Now before anyone starts typing angry comments, the Sony A1 is not a bad camera. The Sony A1 is honestly one of the most impressive cameras I've ever used. 50 megapixels, 8K video, 30 frames a second stills, is a bit of a beast. But over the last couple of years, especially shooting documentaries, branded films, NGO work, interviews and run and gun productions, I realised something important. The best camera on paper isn't always the best camera for the job. And that's really what this video is about. After using the A1 professionally for 4 years, I've made the decision to sell it and switch to the FX3. I've even decided to not wait for the FX3 Mark II to come out whenever it does. So in this video, I want to break down why the A1's an amazing camera, but it's not the right tool for me. And hopefully it will help someone else make the right decision for them. The Sony A1 is kind of the ultimate hybrid camera. You've got 50 megapixels, a full frame sensor, 8K video, 4K 120, 30 frames per second, it's got everything. The FX3 by comparison is 12.1 megapixels, only shoots 4K and has no EVF. On paper, it kind of destroys the FX3 in a lot of categories. So logically, the A1 should win. But filmmaking isn't about specs alone. It's about reliability, workflow, speed, confidence, and letting the camera disappear so you can focus on the story. That's where the FX3 started making way more sense for me. So let's go into the reasons. So the first thing, which is probably the biggest one, is overheating. The A1 can overheat, especially while filming long interviews in hot environments or high frame rates. And when you're filming documentaries, wildlife or events, you can't exactly ask for something to be repeated just because your camera's overheating. So the FX3 has a fan built into it, which kind of sounds boring, but honestly it changes everything. That reliability gives you confidence, and confidence as a filmmaker is massive, because the less you're thinking about your camera failing, the more you can think about the storytelling. Now the next one's a little bit subjective, but personally I prefer the image out of the FX3. The A1 looks a little bit over-sharpened and slightly unnatural to me, whereas the FX3 has a softer, more organic image that reminds me more of the image out of my A-cam, the FX6. There's just something about the image out of the FX3 that feels more cinematic straight away. Less digital, less harsh. And honestly, I spend less time fighting the image in post. Now the next thing is workflow. So the FX3 is built primarily for video, so everything feels like it's designed for filmmaking, rather than squeezing filmmaking into a photography camera. That's things like dedicated record buttons, tally lights, audio handle, better menu workflows, Cine EI and LUTs. All of it speeds things up, and when you're editing hours of documentary footage, everything helps. So the next thing is the flip screen. Especially when you're shooting at low awkward angles or your camera's on a gimbal, it can be incredibly helpful to have the screen flipped out to the side. And another great thing is that you can flip it away and hide it. If you're putting it in a camera bag, it's less likely to get broken. It sounds like a small thing, but when you film constantly, little ergonomic details make a huge difference over time. Now the next thing is low light sensitivity, and this is where the FX3 really shines. The FX3 has dual base ISO of 800 and 12,800, and because it's only got a 12 megapixel sensor, each pixel's bigger, meaning that it can see more light. The A1 is still very good in low light, but the FX3 is just on a different level. Especially for documentary work, night scenes, and especially underwater environments, that low light sensitivity makes a massive difference. Sometimes I can shoot scenes on the FX3 that I wouldn't even attempt on the A1. So the next thing I picked out is reliability, and honestly this is the core of the entire video. At some point I stopped caring about having every possible feature. Do I need 8K RAW, open gate, 50 megapixel stills? For the type of work I do, I care more about reliability, speed, low light, colour, and battery life. The FX3 gives me exactly what I need. No more, no less. So at the end of the day, cameras are tools, and this is something I realise more and more working on professional productions. When I work on live TV, we often use cameras like the Sony Z450. Have you ever even heard of that? And image quality wise, the A1 and the FX3 absolutely destroy it. But that's not the point. Because cameras are tools designed for specific jobs. The Z450 is built for broadcast reliability, long recording times, and ergonomics. And it's the same with the FX3, it's built to help filmmakers work efficiently and reliability. It can be really easy online to get obsessed with specs, and I find myself doing the same. But at the end of the day, these are tools for different people, and this one is definitely the right one for me. So there's another smaller thing that I genuinely love about the FX3 that I wish the A1 had, and that's shutter angle. So instead of constantly adjusting your shutter speed when you're changing frame rates, you just set it to 180 degree shutter, and it automatically adjusts. Everything stays consistent. It sounds tiny, but again, it removes friction. And filmmaking is all about removing friction between you and the story you're telling. So to sum it up, do I think the Sony FX3 is better than the A1? No, but I think it's a better camera for me, and that's an important distinction. The A1 is probably one of the best hybrid cameras ever made, and now the A1 too. Because I realise I'm primarily a filmmaker and not a hybrid shooter. Once I accepted that, the FX3 made way more sense to me. It's fast and it's reliable, and it allows me to focus on the storytelling. At the end of the day, audiences don't care about if your footage was shot in 8K RAW. They care about whether they can feel something, and the FX3 helps me capture those moments better. So yeah, that's why I switched. If you've enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments, which one do you prefer, the A1 or the FX3? And if you've made a similar switch from hybrid camera to cinema camera, I'd genuinely love to hear your experience. Subscribe if you want to hear more filmmaking and documentary content, and I'll see you in the next one.